Hey, and welcome back to Tales from the Dark Side. It's a review. You get to see my face again to tell you we're going to spoil things. Now, listen, it's Clone Wars. I get it. Some of you all didn't watch it back in the day. Some of you all got Disney Plus, and you thought, okay, I'm going to get Disney Plus just so I can watch The Mandalorian. And then you canceled your subscription, and now you're coming back, and you're like, I haven't had enough time to watch it. We do each week put up a list of what to watch. This week and next week is very easy. It's only 2 episodes. After that, we might get a little bit further into it. So keep your eyes on the Instagram. Do know there's spoilers. There is spoilers. If you haven't figured it out yet, oh gosh, we didn't even put the episodes about what we're supposed to watch here. It is in this order. It is season 2, episode 16 and season 1, episode 16. Pause right here. Hit the like button. Hit the sub button. Make a comment. Thank me for telling you that we're going to spoil it. Come back later. You know the deal. Here we go. We're going to get into it. Hey, welcome back. All right. So there we go. We got the spoilers coming up. We got Pete here to do a little bit of the run through now. He has turned into our Lobot, if nothing else. What's going on, Pete?
What's going on, everybody?
Where's an R2D2? I don't know what it is, but it's something. Hey, one of our favorites. He started out with us. He's back. We're trying to get him on as much as we can. We might actually see him twice in a week because we might see him on Thursday. Mike, say what's up to everybody.
How's it going, everybody? It's good to be back. Nice to see everybody. Thanks for having me back.
All right. Solo Wookie, the co-pilot that we all know and love. Solo, tell him hi.
What's up, everybody?
Okay, we are doing a Clone Wars review. Very good. We got some new cool stuff. We're going to start. Yeah. It was kind of interesting. We really did discuss it, and I know that we did the movies last week. We're going to do the prequel shows to the movies, I guess is what we can call this, right? It's the prequel shows to the movies. It's only
of some sort.
It's only 2 episodes. It's the Cat and the Mouse and the Hidden Enemy. We're going to start out with Cat and the Mouse. That's how you're supposed to watch it. Hopefully you did. I don't know if that's tricky. I'll read the comments later because, you know, I always do. And started off here. So this was season 2, episode 16, The Cat and the Mouse. Really a cool and creepy character that I wish they would do more kind of with somehow or bring the species back a little bit more. What did you guys think about Trench?
I love the Trench design. I think he's really cool. Like you say, he's really creepy. He's super like he's got kind of that Thrawn mind in a way, sort of all about tactical, war and all that kind of thing. I really like the character, and you're right. 1 or 2 episodes is kind of not enough for him, but
no, it's really good, and you'll see it further down into the Clone Wars when you watch them. That they actually do get not just into the generals for, the Jedi side or the Republic side. They actually get into it for the Separatists too, which is really cool because you get to see a lot of different insight to some of the darker characters, or some of them like Trench, who he just was what he was, right? He doesn't think he's on the wrong side of things. He definitely doesn't think he's on the wrong side of things. And it's kind of interesting to see how he just uses that tactical mind to try to get to the end. We do have a little bit. This is kind of interesting, Pete, because the guy in the background, Mike, is who?
Admiral Yularen.
Which, if you remember from he does end up going over to the Galactic Empire at one point. But Pete brought up a good point, too, that he's the narrator for...
Yeah, he's the narrator. His voice just... carries on,
which is kind of cool to see him in there. And he's kind of early on. He downputs the Jedi too. He's not always like a big promoter of them and doesn't see why they're worth, and kind of even gives it to Anakin a little bit. Like, yeah, here comes that Anakin, that guy, and everything else. So that's kind of cool.
Now, isn't this kind of his first run-in with Anakin as well? He's not very experienced with Anakin at this point either. He's kind of, putting out his feelers
in chronological time, or.
Yeah, because this is 22 BBY. This takes place, and so this is kind of their first go. I don't think he's really seen or run into Anakin at any point yet. This is kind of their first interlude and meeting.
He hasn't done a mission. He hasn't done a mission with him. That he kind of volunteers to go on.
Yeah, he volunteers to go on the mission with him. Yeah. So we know from some of the other stories and everything like that he did have a downward push for it, and how some of the other stories kind of played out. Now, when they realigned it to do it in a chronological order, that's kind of a little thing they tweaked right there, where it's like, oh, it's his first mission. But in other ones, he had downplayed other Jedis, which you'll see later on in some of the episodes. With that being said, as Mike said, that he did volunteer for this one, and one of the reasons was because of Trench and what Trench did, which actually would be a really cool like sub story that they never got to. I'd really like to find out like what that whole
the run-in they had before.
Yeah, the run-in. Well, yeah, they found out about where they apparently just wiped out people, and however bad he was, he was supposed to.
And they name it in the episode. They name the battle, which I can't remember now. It's a 2-word battle. That would be a cool storyline to show him get like vaporized. Like,
hey, you could always do little shorts off of this if you run out of content to do. Just give me a call and the dark side click here, Star Wars and Lucas, and we'll fill you in what you should be doing. Anyway, it was really cool because Pete also decided to pull up some of the ships, which are different, and they were very interesting. As you can see, this is Trench's ship, and we actually have the detail flaw of the dreadnought that he does. Kind of a bigger ship. These are some great arts. I really love it when they start doing the draw ups and the arts. I like the clicking in Trench too. Like,
yes, that was a nice
spider moves and all the.
Yeah, that was a nice touch. The clicking, the little.
Yeah,
the talking and tugging at his little mandibles, like in the front, like my beard, like tugging at them. Like I like that. They're both nice touches.
That was really cool. This ship is cool too, and brought up something really dope, and that they're bringing now. We're seeing it in other parts of Star Wars too. And that happens to be the like disappearing act that they can do, the mirror image, the Invisible Woman stuff. They actually have that. If you guys are reading the High Republic, not to spoil that, but we said spoilers, so that contains all spoilers that have anything to do with Star Wars, however old or new it is. If you're looking at the Nile in that, you see that they do use that technology to kind of cloak their stuff too, which is very interesting. Actually, Laura D does it to do a lot of her ships. She does that cloaking thing. So it's kind of cool that they do it here. You'll see other things like carbonite freezing that they'll do later on that they use in other stories. And it's really cool because they get in depth and try to explain it or try to give you a first time shot with it. So you can actually not just visualize it in your mind, but see it in real person. I really enjoyed that. And then the timing thing was kind of cool too, how they explained like the shots and the armors going down and what they had to do to penetrate it. They did actually do a real good job. Now, remember, this was a cargo ship. It was going down to the planet to help out Bail Ortega, Leia's.
Ortega? No.
Organa,
sorry.
Ortega, he wants tacos. You know, Marco wants tacos.
Long day last night. Long morning this morning. And Jesus, gonna keep going. But, you know, so it's Leia's stepdad that is down there trying to help people out and everything like that.
And they throw out the Obi-Wan, you're my only hope. You're our only hope.
They do.
In this episode.
They like it. They do a lot of cool things. There's actually one.
There's another one.
There's another one, but that's in the next episode. Yeah, they do a lot. They do a lot of that stuff in Clone Wars, which is really cool.
They do it in the movies. It's like the the musical thing. They're bringing things back, like the repetitive nature of it.
They start to send the bombers towards the planet, and they had, of course, this is still these guys are having kind of like a little bit of a back and forth. You can see he kind of only trusts them a little bit, but doesn't expect much out of them in the beginning. And as the relationship grows shortly, by the way, it seemed a lot longer than the runtime on it. It's weird because like we were just talking about this other day, like if stuff's good, sometimes you want more of it, which you obviously want more of this. But I think because I knew something was coming up, plus I knew the episode, it was running a little bit longer and I can analyze it a little bit better. But it was nice how they only really had about 6 minutes to develop their relationship. And they did such a clean and crisp job where you could see the adjustment from his non so trusty of the Jedi, or like, who is this guy, even though I need his help and I volunteered for this, to like, okay, I'm going to put, we might die. Like there is a very good option of us dying at this point, but I'm not going to ask you if you're sure you know what you're doing. I'm just going to go with it, because he does ask if you're sure, because, he's showing up on the blip. He's trying to test them, and he's seeing that if eventually he could do what he started to do here with the missiles, which
they're doing even before them with the drones going down to the planet, like they're doing the camera, they're like 500 meters or whatever it is, 400 meters. Are you sure they don't see us? Are you sure? Like you said, like it built.
That's good suspense
in the episode there, even before.
It does. Agreed. It's definitely well written, and you're right. I mean, to have all that content in 25 minutes, essentially with commercials. I mean, it's an incredible amount of character development and plot and strategy all in like 25 minutes. It's pretty genius writing.
And I'll say this too. I don't think that like all the graphics and all the air battles that they did, especially in animation, sometimes it does get old when you go back and watch some of the animation. You got to remember, what is this, 2008? No, this one's probably 2009-ish.
So this aired, let me see, Cat and Mouse. So this was March 26, 2010.
2010. Still, I mean, you're looking at 11 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, 11 years old, he can steal your car and go and drive it to the local Quickie Mart. So, like, that's 11 years old. And this still holds up. Still holds up after 11 years. Hey, speaking of those clips, we're going to show you a little bit of a clip real quickly. How should I do this? Is it just going to take over the screen, Pete?
Yeah.
Let's see if this works. Let's see if yeah, and that's kind of what we were saying there too. It was really cool that if you see that scene, even how they have the skidding.
Yeah, the skid, the little
skid going up like that, the missiles coming in perfectly. It made a lot of sense what he was doing when he was going after it because they had to re-armor and it wasn't going to happen in time.
Oh, yeah, the recharging of the shields.
The recharging of the shields. It was just all around a clean episode, in my opinion. I thought it was really good. Like you said, it was written well, and they moved the time really.
And Battle of Malastare Narrows is the where he was purported to have died the first time and didn't. So that would be a cool episode in the future of some sort.
Yeah.
Or a book or a comic or something.
You're right. Definitely a short something like that or added into one of those certain point of views because those are the second book and that's getting a little dry. But that's it. That's pretty much it. So he goes down and he delivers it to Bail and they get the supplies down there. Obviously, remember, like, I don't know what everybody's comments is, and maybe we'll read it before we grade this episode. Because should we grade both episodes or should we grade it as one whole episode? What do you guys want to do? Grade each
do them separate. I think they're pretty separate.
Yeah, so we'll go through the comments really quickly to see what everybody's talking about, and then we'll get ready and give our review of it really quickly. These two episodes took place before Clone Wars movie in the timeline. Yes, they did.
Here's the comment of the night right there.
What is Obi-Wan's super secret? What if it was a giant
Gatorade?
Yeah, that would have been cool if it was a giant
Gatorade. It was a giant Gatorade.
Yeah, I do think it's cool because even JJ hasn't watched it in this order before. I've only watched it in this time order before and then forgot about it. And it's 100%. You can blame it on me because everybody's like, let's do the movie first. And then I was like, yeah, but is that right order or not? And I was like, I always watch the movie first and then go back and go like, oh man, I missed these two.
That's fine. I mean, it just kind of gives you a little bit of backstory because that's the planet in the movie.
And it's what launched it to us as well. I mean, it's the first thing any of us saw that was Clone Wars. Well, I mean, there's the Samurai Jack ones, but
Samurai Jack, and yeah, they're in the little yes, but we'll review that at the end.
That's a rabbit hole of all
of it.
Yeah, it is.
So here we go. We've got the systems. You can give it anywhere from 1 to 5 helmets. Look at this new graphic we got, everybody. Yeah. All right, so we will start with the opposite corner, kitty corner person, Solo Wookie. Solo Wookie, what'd you think of this episode? What'd you like? What'd you dislike? What are you going to give it?
I like it. I think this episode's a super solid episode. They wrote it really well. It plays out really well. It makes a lot of sense. It progressively ties a lot of stuff together. A lot of, it's coherently cohesive. Like it just makes sense. You can understand it. You know what I mean? Like the getting the missiles to follow him through the magnetic, it's believable. Even though it's a make-believe story, it's still a believable premises. So you guys know me, man. That kind of stuff really gets me going. I love that. So I'm going to give it a 4.
Oh, look at that.
And I do love Trench's his insignia, his little emblem. That is such a cool emblem with the spider fangs and the spider skull. It's super sweet. I love it.
Do we got that on the? I think it's there
it is.
Yeah, there it is.
I love that it's also on every one of his sleeves.
Yeah, right. It's everywhere, man. He's proud of that emblem.
It was kind of funny just to talk about that for a moment. How in Clone Wars, and you'll see it throughout it has a lot of like video game type. Not even, I guess you can't call them Easter eggs now because now Easter eggs are like, kickbacks to something else, but Easter eggs in it. Like they really did a lot of attention to detail in this, and you'll see those small things throughout, like certain different signs on insignias on people's arms and stuff like that. Stuff that you don't get anymore because now everybody's on a website making 20 lists of like what this could possibly be. But back then it was just cool stuff, right? They were just adding cool stuff into the show. So, all right. So if we did that, then let's go to the maker of all things that are helmets. Pete, you gave us a 4 on the movie. What'd you give us on this episode?
This one, I'm I was thoroughly, enjoying this one. Again, as we all discussed, like the storyline was very concise. It was very clear. I didn't have, because again, I haven't seen most of the Clone Wars episodes, and I don't know if I saw this one before. It was kind of familiar, but I don't know if it's just my own preconceived notions of, some of the ideas that are kind of in it or not. But still, I didn't feel I needed to have a lot of backstory to understand what was going on. Like, they told me the story in a very simple way. Like, all right, here's our goal. They achieved it. They got to what they needed to do, even with some hiccups aside. And again, the character building and everything, it was completely entertaining. So I'm going with the 4. I'm sticking with 4 as well.
Oh, there we go. 2 4s. This is getting just to be like the movie real quickly. Yep, I think you're spot on with a lot of that stuff. I think we're going to hear a little bit more of that. Mike,
you got to leave room too. You got to leave room for that. Don't go oversell.
Oh yeah. So,
Mike,
like I said earlier, yeah, absolutely. Like I said earlier, I'm surprised that they're able to get that much character development and plot and the cohesive nature of the episode in, and a great, cool new character as well. I would give it 4, but it's an episode without Ahsoka, so it's a 3.
Yeah, all right.
3.5. Do you have a half helmet?
We do. We have a half. 3.5. We have all these helmets.
3.5 helmets.
3.5 helmets for Mike. All right. So, like a lot of you said, obviously, and I summed up some of the episode, you can tell I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. I'm a huge fan of all things tactical in Star Wars. I really enjoy that portion of it. Obviously, I'm a big Thrawn fan, so you know that I like that type of stuff, especially portions of Space Odysseys and fights like that are done very well. The nature in which they did this, where you actually see the fighting makes sense, even though some of the concepts, like Solo said before, are foreign. Just because they're foreign doesn't mean it's bad. How they introduced it and made it continuously flow, but not take over the show. One other point, the bad guy Trench that they actually use portions of him later on, because I think they thought they killed him. Now, remember, this is season 2, but they still, I think, thought they killed this character off a little bit too soon. And we're like, crud, how can we reenact him? So this is the original. We will see semi-duplicates of this guy later on in Clone Wars, and I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I wish they had an extra part of it. I will give it a 4 also. I think it was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was an easy watch. I watched it with some of the kids, and they were a little bit scared at the beginning because of all the clicking and the way the animal looked, or the way Trench looked. Yep. But after they got into it, they really got suckered into it, and the action took over. And like, oh, I think he's gonna get away with it. That's what was one of the comments when he asked him, when he asked Anakin, do you think it's gonna work or whatever? When he was like whining and saying like, do you think they saw it? Do you think? And one of my sons said, no, I think he's gonna get away with it. He's gonna get away with it. There's no way the bad spider guy is gonna get him. So it was kind of funny to hear that too. So I saw that it was thoroughly enjoyable. And with that, you get a 4. You get 4 helmets. So there we go, 4 helmets.
Did you think that the clicking
create a character where you
reminiscent or the same as Boss Nass from episode 1?
I wouldn't say they were the same.
Yeah,
Boss Nass is a little too silly,
and the like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Marco, to go along with what your kids were saying, was that like just the fact that they created a character that could have won that battle is impressive.
Yeah, no, that was definitely it. I mean, it was definitely cool to see that they had somebody who was actually and obviously they stressed it right in the beginning, and they did it very subtly. They didn't have to give a ton. Oh yeah, all the dirty stuff he did at this battle, and it's like, oh, so he is a bad guy and lined it up, which is pretty cool. It was pretty cool. The next episode is kind of more of a thriller episode than this, not as straightforward as this one was. It is from season 1, episode 16. The Hidden Enemy. This is cool. So they start you off. Remember, we watched the movie first, and maybe if we didn't, it wouldn't play as cool to this. I'm not quite sure. Either way, you know where they're at. The planet they've been on, because this is the same planet they're on during the movie. You actually even kind of some of these buildings, because you've seen the downtown area. You've got Obi and Anakin actually split up at a certain portion, and the battle droid army starts to go to attack them. And all of a sudden, you see the tanks there, and it looks like, was it Cody or Rex? One of them was on the big gun, and they're like, okay, cool. They're just going to plow them all down. And then all of a sudden, the droids start splitting up into 3 portions. The only thing that I didn't understand was if they split up into 3 portions, they sure did get up to like the 18th floor real quick. like real quick for not having booster packs or whatever.
That was another platoon. That was 2 other platoons.
They must be.
Whatever. Sure. Yeah. Okay. However that happened, but they end up sabotaging but they also end up only sabotaging Obi-Wan, even though they somehow know where. Well, we'll get to why they know, and everybody in the chat probably knows why because they watched it. But they know where the 2 Jedis are hanging out and all the clone troopers, and they get up to that floor and start taking out clones left and right. Obi-Wan obviously has to help it. Then, of course, Anakin does the "I'm going to crash the window." Rex, where are we going? We're just going through on the hang glider somehow. I don't know. It worked. It worked, though. I mean, it really did work. It was interesting. It was funny. And then you saw clones falling. So I think early on, you see a lot of clones just like between this and the movie, there was a lot of clones that they just got rid of, like guys falling through the sky, not having good day. Yeah.
Well, it definitely helped for this episode. Like to the point of the episode by the end, like it's good that they showed that. It helps support the story they're telling.
It does.
And same kind of,
Well, interesting to note too that both of these episodes.
Oh shoot! Go ahead.
84 GI Joe style. It's not very violent. You just see them fall.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, that's nice. Go ahead, Mike. What were you gonna say?
Just that both of these episodes are on or above Christophsis. The planet is the same planet for both.
From the war, or from the movie. Christophsis. Actually put in for there. Then Anakin catches up to Obi-Wan, obviously clears it. He's cocky. Where'd you come from? This Obi-Wan too, by the way, is one of the better Obi-Wans because early on he looks better than the movie, and he looks like he's seriously intent on being a BA type character. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got the downward eyes and he's ready to go at it. I thought it was kind of cool how they showed him. Was it Rex that did it? Rip the head off of the.
I think so.
The droid,
the droid, the intel droid. So like that's kind of cool. At the last minute, the tactical droid. At the last minute, he just like armbar yanks it off and jumps into the plane. Even though I knew they weren't going to shoot down the plane, I was like, oh man, they might shoot down the plane. I was like, wait a minute, no, he's going to rip the head off. Then they rip the head off, then they jump on the plane and they take off. I thought it was cool. It was great action, and it was something that they didn't have to like. It was a very small, minute thing that they did that adds a lot of character and a lot of story building into the play, and there's only like a 2-second shot. So they start to try to analyze it. Obviously, it goes a little bit wrong, but they find out that the tactical droid knew where both Jedis, Anakin and Obi-Wan, were. That being said, then he could send in the droids that somehow got up to the 15th layer quickly without anybody figuring it out.
Express.
Yeah, sure they did. After that, so as we know, they try to track down, Rex and Cody are in charge of tracking down who they think has been telling them because they figure out that maybe somebody's been lying to them. In the meantime, also, too, we have one of the great pullbacks again. If you watched it in this order, if you didn't watch the movie first, you get to see asajj Ventress, which is always a fan favorite. And when we get into some of her stories later on, Jedi Johnson has promised to come back. If you guys did not watch the show this week, Jedi Johnson was on that. He did an amazing job. We've got great feedback for it. Go check it out. Tales from the Dark Side. You can see it. You'll just see Jedi's face and like, what is this? And it's him. It's great. He goes over some of the story on how he got into Star Wars. But when it comes up to Ventress later on, we'll do a review of Dark Disciples to cover that book real quickly. Just not these little pieces. Maybe when her down the line of her storyline that happens through Clone Wars. But we get to see her again in the hooded figure. There is she's got some great lines, right?
Yeah, she does.
Man, she's got some great lines.
Her interplay with Obi-Wan is awesome. I love the dynamic that the two of them have with their dialogue. Him calling her like pet names and I love it. It's
great. It's like creepy, flirtatious, like not flirtatious. Exactly. It really is. Then she gets into this one right here.
You've served your purpose.
That's a dope move.
Yeah, it's a dope move. But what happened? All she did was touch 2 bricks, and the whole floor fell. Huh?
She probably had it set up like it was it's like a trap. She just triggered a trap.
She did trigger trap. The next thing we're talking about is one of those like callbacks to some of the movies or whatever, and it's a line that Anakin Obi-Wan kind of went through. They adjusted a little bit to make it a little bit different. But
What's the plan, Master? Bringing us here was a mistake, my sweet. You've overestimated your abilities.
Really?
Now, if you see that, it's kind of funny because she has the high ground, and she said that he says you overestimate your abilities. Which, if you reverse, then Obi says you gave up the high ground, and don't overestimate my ability. Okay, so that was pretty funny. I really do enjoy that. I actually played it back 2 times so I laughed because it was pretty good. It was a pretty good line. I enjoyed that, and I enjoy that they do that in these shows. So anytime you get one of that, you're going to get a couple extra helmets from me either way, because it's a very good way of giving you nostalgia or doing callback and not cheap. It really wasn't cheap. It played out really well. I thought, obviously, people in the chat saw the clip and you've watched it, so tell us what you think about that clip. But I thought it was a great way to do a callback. They continue on the hunt. They pull in the whole crew from Slick. Slick? Is it Slick?
Slick, yeah.
Slick's crew. So they bring in Slick's crew. It was very good because they didn't give it away for those people who haven't seen this episode before. They didn't give away who the actual clone was. They go one by one down, see where people are. 2 people are eating lunch together. Another guy's cleaning a gun. They check the gun. That was cool too. They just didn't take his word. They actually checked the gun. They're like, yeah, there's oil on the gun. He definitely just oiled this. Very cool that they actually did that and just didn't skip over it and make it cheap and easy. Then they get to this character right here, and all of a sudden he's got
Chopper.
Yeah, and he was cutting fingers off of droids. B1. Yeah.
Stealing
putting them
droid
into the
fingers.
necklace. And so then, Pete, would you like to intro the next, what your brain thought process, and probably a lot of people's did, is this right here?
He's taking souvenirs. He's chopping off Battlefinger droids. Reminded me of Universal Soldier when Dolph was taking ears and making a necklace. Like, I don't know. It's the first thing I thought of.
It was, and it was kind of, they kind of made it a little creepy because you're like, what is with this guy? And also he is keeping souvenirs, and you're like, maybe he did it. But then all of a sudden when they start accusing him, especially when Slick does, he does some weird thing, and you kind of catch on because he's like, oh, don't worry about it. Don't say anything else. We got you covered. We'll take care of you. We'll get you in front of the, and you're like, wait, what? And Chopper goes, hey, I saw you go into the food place after everybody else, which is what happened. I mean, they showed it early on in the episode. That's actually how the clone got there, because they couldn't follow who was tapping their meetings because he went into the cafeteria, into the mess hall, and everybody looks the same. So they put him up there. There's a couple of left hooks being thrown out. There's a couple of good parts, good fight scenes. He gets away for a little bit. He ends up in the ventilation system. They eventually trick him because they say clones know what clones are going to. That was pretty slick too. Like how they they definitely extended it, but how they said like clones know what clones do. So was it Cody? Cody let his gun go down. Rex acted like he went through the door. Yep. Cody came back and turned his back on him, but he had already taken out the ammo. Hopefully those that haven't seen it before, that played really well. Obviously for me, I was like, yep, here it comes. Here comes the ammo scene. Here comes. But it still visually was really cool. And watching it and analyzing it, I guess, even deeper, going like, man, they could have done so many corny things here. So many corny things that we've seen before in different stuff. And they didn't. They actually did a lot of winning stuff. Actually, even with the Mandalorian, there's parts of that Mandalorian that there is some corny stuff that goes on in there. They did not do that in these 2 shows. They really played it out clean. I hope that they do more shows like this because they did a really good job for it.
Two things I like about this episode specifically is that they give sort of like the feint, if you will, where as soon as they say it's Slick's crew, I think it's Rex that says, well, Slick's not going to be happy about that. And so you instantly in your brain, you're like, well, it can't be Slick, because if Slick's not going to be happy with that, then that must mean he's going to be pissed at whoever it is. So you just automatically don't think it could be him.
Exactly.
And then the other thing I like, of course, is this is like the earliest time where I guess in the timeline where you see clones start to question their commands. Like for the first time, this guy's kind of his brain is rebelling against his lot in life, and it's it kind of brings up a lot of questions that end up happening. Super future spoiler alert in later episodes. So I won't give away all of that stuff, but it becomes an important thing later. And this is sort of the first little nugget of that.
Yeah, I think it was really interesting how they did. Now they kind of skimped a little bit on the end of the explanation, but they were digging into like why are we fighting for these guys? We are, like Pete said earlier, I think you were going to get into this, right, Pete?
Yeah, a tiny bit. I know Jen wanted to, but she couldn't make it today.
Yeah, Jen unfortunately is sick today. But her big thing was like they were saying, hey, look, they're using us as expendable beings. Like, so you're telling me, okay, I blew up or killed, a dozen guys. Yeah, but if I would have done it and they would have taken out the Jedi and that ended the battle, I would have saved tons of us. We're not made to do anything but die, pretty much. That was the whole. And unfortunately, we don't have Jen here to give us the whole synopsis and make us all feel a little bit of warm and fuzzies or sad in our hearts or whatever, however she's pitching it, which she would have done. But like, that's it. It is a good point. Like, to actually get that mortality of like, no, yeah, they're 100% there just to be sacrificed. There is no after, there is no future for the clones. And to see one, like Mike said, break was very interesting. It was good to see it. It was really early on. And if you know what happens later on, then you're like, wow, so they were breaking earlier than not. And then it makes some of the other stuff make sense.
Yeah, because I mean, if you think about it, with all in the beginning, when all of them, like you're saying, getting mowed down, like, and just getting left behind, like, how do you know all those guys died? Like, just to get shot didn't mean they were dead. They didn't even pay them a second mind. Like, hey, before we jump off, in the ship, like, maybe we should take a peek. Is that guy dead or is he just down? Could we just drag him on? He's 3 feet away. No,
he's wearing armor. He does have armor on. Like, he could have survived. Yeah,
it's totally expendable. So you can kind of see
clones. They can make
that feeling of, you get where they're coming from, but Slick might not have handled it the best way in sacrificing his brothers, but you can see his point.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing these two things have in common, right? When we were talking about Trench and we were talking about Slick, both of them from their point of view, from a certain point of view, they weren't wrong. Right? They weren't wrong, right? Like I get it. And sure, they seem like monsters. But in the defense of monsters, maybe, I don't know. Like, he isn't 100% wrong. Like, they are using him to be sacrificed. And the same thing with Trench. Like, his way of life is changing because somebody's attacking him. And if you're going to be attacked, are you going to defend yourself? You could see it as being dirty, but are you going to do everything you possibly can to defend yourself?
Right.
I mean, I think that's where the whole, like, Empire too, when they've gotten into it before about, like, how did good people join the Empire? Well, I think both these characters, and it's very interesting that they did play them in the chronological order. Obviously, that's not how it's set up in the chronological order. They played them that they were both characters on different sides of things, but had that same type of mentality where it was like, they weren't bad. Okay, they were bad people, but they weren't like really bad people. Like, they're bad guys, but they're bad guys because of the situation they were put in. They weren't bad guys because they wanted to be like dirty or dastardly or something like that.
They're not just bad guys just because they're on the other team. Like, it's.
What's that?
I'm just saying, just because they're on the other side doesn't automatically make everybody bad and evil just because they're on the other side. Like, some people might have a legitimate reason for being there. Like, we kind of got into that.
That's like the whole Thanos thing, right? That's why Thanos is a sympathetic character, because he thinks what he's doing is best for the galaxy. I know that we're getting out of Star Wars with that, but I mean, it's the same idea that makes that character popular or well written, and it's done again here in a very short period of time, in 15 minutes, essentially.
Yeah,
that's true.
And it definitely is. They really do a good job of describing and playing out the juxtaposition of the way good guy, bad guy, with both sides, the bad guys, and with the clones, and with the troops versus the Rex and Cody versus that's kind of one of the great things about this story, is that everybody is in almost the same juxtaposition of being the bad guy, but also being the good guy at the same time.
Absolutely.
It's a very convoluted story, but they do such a good job describing each person's position.
Solo Wookie gets the AP Literature A for the day, using juxtaposition in a podcast. I love it. I love it.
Bonus points.
One of the comments that Jedi Johnson has in here, he says, like, the other clone takes a whole head, but the guy with the fingers is a little bit weird. You know what I mean?
Right? Yeah.
Kind of turns into the same way, but it does kind of play into the same way with the it also plays into the same way with these guys like Trench and stuff. Like, the same thing. You see them as a different. It's weird how people see things, right? Like, and they do a very good job and don't shove it into your face, but say like, hey, look, there's a bunch of different points of view. Yeah, Rex literally jumped out, like, before jumping out of plane, went up and arm choked and ripped the robot's head off, while some guy's trying to cope with whatever's going on and taking a couple souvenirs, and he's the creepy weird dude, but like, people's heads off, or robots. Like I get it, but popping robots' heads off, that's the weird guy. Same thing with these two right there. So I really do think they did a really good job with it.
I like Chopper's line there too. Chopper's line is, I felt like I deserved something back.
Yeah.
Like, for everything I give, I needed to take something back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Shannon makes up a good point too. Imagine if we did this discussion in the point of view from the bad guys. Like they have done a little bit of that before Star Wars, and I always do find that portion of it very intriguing because like, it's hard to even like vocalize it without sounding bad. Like because you have sympathy for characters that the one thing Star Wars has been great about is making sympathy for characters that like maybe you should have sympathy. You don't have to say they're right. Like you don't have to say they're on the right side of things. They're definitely not on the right side of things, but you can still have sympathy for people who've been led the wrong way.
Absolutely. You shouldn't feel bad either, because how many people in their hearts still kind of root for Darth Vader? You know what I mean? Like Anakin murdered children. Like,
but
he straight up murdered kids. But yet we're still woohoo! Go for those rebels down the hall because it's bad. You know,
he looks cool. That's because he looks cool. And when he goes down to the hall to throw people up and work a whole hallway full of people that he's going against, he does it right. So I mean, you know, when he's force choking people and throwing them around, he doesn't.
Go, Vader, get them rebels.
Yeah,
Take them down. He's in your way. Choke him out. Boy, Vader.
People love him. He's the one guy you should be like, no redemption for you. Zero redemption. No, you killed children. Zero redemption for you. And did it to be selfish too. Didn't do it to like, there was no grand scheme plan of him. But all of a sudden you get some of these characters like a Tarkin or something. They're like, oh, that guy right there. He's the worst guy ever. And then you hear Tarkin's story and you're like, well, yeah, he's definitely on the wrong side of things, but getting blown to bits on a Death Star may not have been like the end all and be all. Maybe that's a little rough. A million space pieces, not exactly the best for him. But
we'll kind of tease that one we might have coming up with what's her Ray Sloan? Is that her name?
Oh, Ray Sloan, yeah. So
like seeing her perspective of why she is like pro Empire, like what happened on her planet with the Empire helping her, like. You can kind of understand sometimes why some people sign up for the bad guy.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, you could definitely, we will get, so Ray Sloan is something we have in the can, we have it ready to go. But since we're on Thursday, we're going to do the Pulse Friday review. So if you guys haven't seen it, go check out Pulse Friday. You can see the Hasbro thing. We are going to discuss it pretty thoroughly. We're going to discuss everything from the comments that were being said there to some guys' mic breaking up to what's actually happening in the collective toy market in Star Wars at this point. Some of the issues.
Star Wars, I think it's
it's across the board, but we're going to stick it to Star Wars. Last night we ended up going on a big card thing and everything else. We're going to stick to Star Wars. Mike promises to be back, so we'll do that on Thursday at 9:00. We will have enough pictures. We might pull out some clips like we're doing now so that we can review some stuff there. I will say, no matter what point it is, we might rank a star system, and the system on that one is 0.0 across the board. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert on that.
You may even employ negatives.
Yeah,
we may even put some negatives in
there.
there.
Backwards for that. Speaking of that, Shannon Fisher sent me a text today. I don't know if he knew that topic was going to come up or whatever, but he went to his local Target and found one lonely Jar Jar Binks on the shelf. And I was like, oh, this is going to be, we're definitely going to go and talk about what's happening to toys because we got to do it. Okay. Let's get back to what we're actually here for. Let's rank the episode. I've written at this point because we're now got off the rails. Not too bad though. The hidden enemy. Should we go reverse order? What order? Mike, give it to us. Give us your grade on it.
I'm going 3 stars on this one. A lot of this episode feels a little bit like a throwaway episode. While there's some really cool stuff in it that I like that perpetuates itself into future parts of the Clone Wars, and yet again it loses a half a helmet for no Ahsoka. So three helmets.
Hey, that's in the rules now. Just so you know, that's acceptable. We let that go. It's in the rules now. All right. Pete, what do you got for me?
For this one, I can see what Mike's saying about a little bit of like that throwaway. Maybe not throwaway, a little bit of filler. Like some of it was just kind of padding. Like the traitor aspects of the clones was kind of cool, but ultimately when you get to the Ventress and the Jedi stuff, I mean, it didn't really progress the story much. They were the distraction, but they spent a good chunk of the episode on that distraction. So for that, I'm going down to 3.5. Just
3.5.
because it was still an entertaining episode. I love the ventress, the fighting and all that stuff was great, but ultimately it didn't progress anything further by them doing that. So
no, that's a fair grade. Fair
I'm
grade.
going
Very.
3.5.
I think we're fair grade with that. Solo Wookiee, we're going to actually hold a pause on you because I have gotten a message from one of our favorite. My sister Jen sent out a little thing. It says she gave them both 4 helmets, so only 4 on both.
Okay.
It's the first time watching it in the order, but really liked the second episode a bit more because of the clone ventress stuff. So she did the clone ventress thing is really it. We knew she did write a diatribe earlier on the clones and their feelings and everything like that. I'm not going to read the whole thing out. Maybe she can recap it next week. The clone stories, yep, it was really intriguing. Some quality at the first episode, the stealth ship, she liked it. It was interesting too. It's okay. So she's on cold medicine.
I think we also are going to need Mike's movie score too before we're done today.
Oh yeah. We'll get Mike's movie score
Get to it before the end.
Okay.
So we get 2
About that
scores.
in your off time.
Yeah, and you can give us a run. Yeah, you can give us a run back because you couldn't make. I mean, we were supposed to be on last week. Unfortunately, we have real lives. Believe it or not, we actually do real things.
Yeah.
Real things every once in a while. All right, so that leaves Solo Wookiee and me. Solo, go because
Why don't you go, Marco? Because you were last time.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I'll go. Okay, so this is it. I love Aja Ventress. She is like I just love her. Asajj Ventress.
Asajj.
Yeah, I love her just because like her whole story. You know what I mean? Like, unfortunately, as much as I try to keep it out of that and rank it differently, because she was in here, because of the line where they did the reverse line of the high ground, which I always say, hey, don't give up the high ground. So I like that little throwback. I do like the clone thing coming in. I don't think it's the best one that they do, so I think that kind of taints me too. I'm trying to be non-biased as watching it the first time, but you got to remember this is like my probably 15th or 16th time seeing these episodes. So everything was pretty clean. There were some portions in it that I did see. I watched this one twice because there's some portions where I was like, crap, I know the scene's there and I missed it. And I saw myself fading off. Now, I don't know if that's because I did a show last night and I'm only on 3 hours of sleep. But wait, didn't I watch it yesterday? I might have watched it yesterday too. I can't remember at this point. So I'm going to have to give it 3 stars, even though I enjoyed a lot of good stuff in it. I just think it gets the 3 stars.
What is it?
Yeah, like I said. Yeah, I know. That's why I was getting the 3 because I thought, I did think there were some cool parts with the clone, but I think they did kind of t-ball that up a little bit. They gave you a little bit of a softball there to see it was coming up, and they short-ended the explanation, right? He's like, yeah, I did, but in the end, but they didn't really come through with that and make any payoff. I mean, I know down the road stuff happens, but there was no like payoff for him betraying them or the big implication or speech of it. So I think they could have done a little bit better with that. So, hey, 3 helmets. That's what I'm giving it to him. There you go, Solo. You are up.
This episode's tough for me. Okay, so it did run 24 minutes. It aired February 6th, 2009. 22 BBY still. I love anything Dathomir. You put Dathomir in there, I'm in. I love it. That's my go-to. I'm a Dathomir guy. But this episode just is so lather, rinse, repeat. We've seen this story in every other movie, TV show. I mean, there's always the double crosser, spy, villain, sniper,
the mole.
There's always the mole story. So it's really kind of an easy write. You just watch something else and write it in. I do like how they write everybody's position and the way that the way they pay attention to it, the detail. They did a little extra in the detail of writing it. For 24 minutes, I mean, Clone Wars really gets a lot of info and a lot of hard-hitting storyline in 24 minutes. The whole series does. So I love that. But with it being just another recycle and just not a lot of from Asajj and Obi and Annie, and I would have liked to seen that either not be in there and just focus on the clones, or really put that storyline into something forward. I got to go 2.5.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, hey, I can't argue with it though. You make some very solid points on a lot of. I mean, there's some very solid points there. Do we even have a 2.5, Pete?
Yes, we do.
That low? All right.
Make that one low. I got 1.5 if we have to get down there.
Nice. There you go. First 2.5.
There's one or two I can think of that might actually get a 1.5 if I remember them right.
I will admit, in retrospect, I don't know why I have them this way instead of this way, which would have made more sense.
Well, we can always have you kick it around and fix it. That's really cool. Mike, do you have your movie ranking? Did you get your movie ranking? Okay, give it to us. The movie. Yep. Yeah,
the movie for me is I'm going to give it a 4, and here's the reason why. I view it like I view A New Hope in a lot of ways. When I'm looking at it from hindsight, and I see what that movie launched, and what Clone Wars became, and what Rebels then became, and all the things that it is the germination of. It's really important. It started a new animation style. It brought in a new character who ends up being enormously popular. Yeah, is she a little silly? Is she a little annoying in that thing? Yeah, but we're talking about what's really just 2 episodes or 3 episodes jammed together. I like it's fast moving. It's fun. It's definitely a little bit more on the kid side of things. But if I'm thinking about what it did for, I can't give it any less than a 4. I have to give it a 4.
All right, cool. Yeah, we kind of covered it too. I don't know if you caught last week, but like they were trying to play. It's funny how that the Snips nickname, one of the biggest criticisms of it was that she was giving Skywalker Sky Guy nickname, but actually he did the Snips thing, and somehow the Snips work out and took on, and the Sky Guy didn't. So I don't technically blame that on the character development. I think you're right on. I mean, I gave it 4.5. Obviously, I like that one too, even though they had the arm poses that were like 3 poses, but it was really good.
Yeah.
Let's get into some of the comments. I'm not going to read out Shannon Fisher's comment here, but you can read it if you're live. If not, well, then tune in live or tune in wherever and read off that one real quickly. We've got a lot of Ventress fans. A lot of the people in the chat. Jedi Johnson, big Ventress fan. JJ, yep, Ventress saved the episode for him. And I think that is a lot of the case with this. The clone thing is interesting. I think we've all seen it before, but I think Ventress did have a very big play into this.
I wish they'd have spent a little more time drawing her. She's a little caterwonky when she's running and the way they drew her. And I still love her. Don't get me wrong. I always will. But I just think they could have done a little better on the drawing with asajj.
Did
think of massage?
But it's still like, think about this though. You're over 10 years old with the animation, right? Like it's you're over, so there's going to be something on there. And yeah, Shannon Fisher said it did seem like it was a little bit split in the 2 episodes. It really was. It wasn't as coherent. It wasn't as some of the other ones where they do it, where they have them all come into one and you can just go back and forth. There was a lot of splitting, and the Ventress part was great, but it was its own portion. Like it didn't kind of fit. I mean, it really didn't.
Its own empty storyline. It did, but it was loose.
Yeah. Okay.
Now I don't remember. The next episode was Blue Shadow Virus. Did that battle scene lead in with the Obi-Wan and them? Does that lead into the next one? I don't think it did. I think if I remember correctly, this episode she takes off and they don't see each other again for a while.
Well, it's the movie. The movie comes up next.
Yep.
So so the movie's after this.
If you would please say it right too, it's Blue Shadow Virus.
We'll hit those up real quickly because we'll put up
Rashida?
At the end here. Well, hey guys, if you could too, make sure you go give us a like. If you drop a comment in the main section, we appreciate it. Even if you have to come back to the video to do that, we really do appreciate it. Tell us how we're doing. Tell us what you'd like us to improve on. We do take criticism pretty well, especially myself. If you know it, I'm on a couple shows here, and the chat will tell me what they think of me, even if they're doing it in jest.
Yeah, somebody called me a moron in one of these, and I was fine with it. So it's cool.
I think somebody asked to fight last night, but that's all right. What? So yes, Jedi Johnson's asking what I really need to know. What happened to the chopper trooper? I think we see him later down the line, but I don't think it's so intense, right?
He became a droid in Rebels.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Oh shit! Oh, hey, Mr. already got us on that. He turned into a droid. Yeah, he turned into a droid until Rebels. Well, everybody's happy. Thunder, good to see you made it in here. Make sure you catch the rest of it. I mean, look, it's
I
great.
wonder how Chopper would feel about that Chopper taking droid pieces as souvenirs. Like, would he take offense to that?
Well, once again, we got the Mr. Bones 2 coming into play in one of our videos, which is also a very interesting droid. So that'll probably be in 2 weeks. We're also, hey, guys, real quickly, we're going to put it together as fast as I can. It kind of depends on Solo for doing some of the voiceover work for the covers. But do know that the High Republic books are coming out this week. So I will be reviewing those like I did the first one. I know a lot of you enjoyed that. Do know it'll be spoilers. I'm going to try to put it out on a Thursday morning, maybe for one, and Friday morning for the second. It just depends if I can scan in the stuff. If I can, I'll get that done for you. If not, no, they'll be up by the weekend. Make sure you're checking out Pete's stuff too, because Pete's got great that Marvel stuff that you were doing.
Oh, the Secret Wars. I did Secret Wars this week.
And then how you're like, I was trying to make my own characters and own guys because it's
Who
really cool. I don't know who. I mean, everybody did. Jedi talked a lot about that. Watch that Jedi stuff that we did there too. If you've got 8 hours of just tomfoolery that you want to enjoy, or you just don't want to listen to whatever's going on at work, turn an MCM. It's pretty good. It was pretty funny. We covered the top 5 books that elude us. It was an interesting list. There's something I didn't think that I think my list was pretty interesting when it got down to it. I think people were pretty surprised with some of the books I put on there because it wasn't Star Wars.
I didn't know what you were going to throw up there. I was like, man, I don't know. What's Marco going to drop? That elude Marco. But you had some good solid books in there. They were definitely, they were solid books.
Yeah, it's not what you think it would be, probably. I am fortunate enough to get a lot of the books for the prices I want them. And there's only very few that elude me. And
My Little Pony books that you can't get.
So, yeah, he's not joking. There was a My Little Pony book in there.
Was it?
Yeah. You just gave away. You just spoiled the figure. But there's a My Little Pony book in there, so feel free to go watch that.
Who knew Marco was an Applejack fan?
Yeah, or Rainbow Dash actually, but
Rainbow Dash.
Really cool. So real cool. Next week it's gonna be short again. Next week we're gonna do Season 3, Episode 1, Season 3, Episode 3. I know we had some early comments about how people liked how we were doing this. So I appreciate that. We're going to keep doing it in this order. It's kind of a fun order to do it in a way to change it up a little bit. So we're going to have Clone Cadets, and we're also going to have supply lines. Do know these are streaming. You can also get them a couple other ways if you have to. I will tell you this. After that, we might have a big week because I think we have to split up.
Big chunks.
Yeah, we have to do some big chunks. So we're going to go back and do maybe 3 or 4. We have to do 3 or 4 in a row just to keep them kind of in the story arc and not split it up too much for that. Mm-hmm. We do appreciate everybody that's out there. We appreciate everything that's going on. Remember, too, if you haven't ordered them already and you haven't gone to check it out since it is coming out, our friends there at Wanted Comics, they have that variant that's cool. And it's very well priced. Get it before whatever happens to it. I'm not saying it's going to go up or down. I'm just saying that is a book that I know that 3 people on this show, Mike, I actually don't know if you purchased it or not. 3 people on the show have already purchased that book. We love it. It's a great book. It's got D on the cover of it. Did you get that book, Mike? So 4 of us, we've all got the book. Don't be left out on that. Thank you for everybody over at Wanted Comics for that. They really are doing a lot.
Buy it for yourself. Don't try to buy like exclusive to try to flip or
no.
Get the ones you like.
Only
and this is one
seriously,
that
only if you like that stuff.
Yeah.
Buy what you like.
Buy what you like. I mean, I know that the Ha book over there is something else, but this is a book that we're just like because the character is really cool. If you like that character, go out and get it. If nothing else, just check out what they have out there. They also have prices they have more than just exclusives over there. That's Wanted Comics with an X. They usually will have pretty good deals because I know, Pete, you grabbed some books too that you were looking for on there that were very reasonable. They were more than comparable.
I had to get the High Republic, the 1 in 10 because I missed out. The DCBS sent me the wrong one. They sent me the 1 in 25, but I just wanted the 1 in 10. So I had to go and buy the 1 in 10 and I bought it from Wanted because they had the best price out there.
Yeah, they do. It's better than other places you go online.
Truth. I'm not here to sell. I'm just saying it's the truth.
Yeah, that's what told me, Deed. I had an extra.
I'll take a fourth
He
one.
wasn't bad.
You send it my way. I didn't get one at all. You'd send it my way.
But
Okay.
I mean, it's an honest company that we believe in, and we actually shop there. So we just want to let you guys know where we go. I don't shop on a place that charges a lot of fees and chargebacks. So that's where I go. I either go live or there. So check them out. Wanted Comics. That's with an X. Just make sure you do the IX thing in there. Even I can remember that. Have a good one. Solo Wookie, could you please tell them what to do and take us out here?
Yes. Please, everybody, go down there and push that like and subscribe. Then go over and saber strike that bell to be alarmed when the greatest chat this side of the galaxy comes together. And may the force be with you.
Always.
Always.